So a couple of days ago I did an image quality comparison between the Insta360 Go Ultra, which I'm filming on here, and the new DJI Osmo Nano. Now they're both the same sort of form factor, they've both got the camera pods that come out from the screen module, and to be honest, whichever you pick, the image quality is going to be pretty amazing for the size of the camera. And yes, you can do side-by-sides as I did with all the auto settings, but you can then adjust each camera individually and get the best out of each camera. So in terms of image quality, I wouldn't really worry about which one you're going to choose. So I thought I'd do a video on the practicalities of using each camera. I said in another video that if you're already in the DJI system, it's pretty much a no-brainer. The Osmo Nano connects to all the same quick mounts, it connects to the microphones, it's got D-Log-M, so you'll be able to grade it the same as any of your other DJI cameras. You might as well just buy the Osmo Nano. But if you don't have either, perhaps you have an older Insta360 360 camera, as I do, and you're looking at maybe changing to the Osmo 360, then perhaps the differences now come down to the practicalities of using each camera. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just go through some of the features and the differences between the two. Now, very obviously, it's a different form factor, and the Osmo Nano splits apart like that, whereas the Ultra goes inside. I have to say I started to prefer the smaller feel of this. I know that Insta360 does the Go 3, the Go 3S that is that sort of size and shape, but at this point I think you might as well just buy the Go Ultra just for the extra image quality. So you then get the separate screen that way. The one thing that I find a bit of an issue with the Nano is that if you want to switch the screen around, you literally have to disconnect the camera and swap it around to be able to see the screen differently. So if I'm filming myself like that and then I want to switch around to show the scene, I can't actually now see what I'm filming, whereas on the Insta360 Go Ultra you can literally just flip the screen up. It's almost seamless. So if I wanted to now do that, I'd have to switch it around and it would kind of ruin the video, whereas nobody's going to notice really when you flip the screen. The other big thing I found, and I'll probably get used to this as I use the camera more, is that there is only one button. There's one record button on the screen and there's one record button on the camera module, whereas on the Go Ultra there's actually two extra buttons, a power on and off button and a customizable button that you can set to what you want. And I think just splitting the two actually is quite useful, because I sometimes will turn this camera off when I don't mean to, and it's just not obvious what to do with the buttons and when. As I said, probably as I get used to using it, it'll become less of an issue, but it is nice to have those extra couple of buttons on the Go Ultra. The screen size on the DJI is also significantly smaller. I mean, it's perfectly fine for framing, there's no issue there. I just find that using the touchscreen, to start with, the touchscreen doesn't seem quite as good as on the Insta360, but also just because it's that much smaller and I've got fingers, you can't always get it to do what you want it to do, and sometimes you're pressing on it and the things don't come up, and the menus, I prefer the menus on the Go Ultra. I think they're just a bit more obvious. Neither of them are particularly amazing, I don't think, personally, but the Go Ultra just has it for me on that side of things. I just find the touchscreen, possibly because it's a little larger, easier to use on the Go Ultra. Now I'm going to cut into the video and say something that I remembered actually while I was filming this, is that because the screen is bigger on the Insta360 and I think it's more touch responsive, I do find myself knocking the settings quite often. So you do really need to lock the touchscreen display on the Insta360 because I've ended up changing the settings without realising it and then recorded and found I'm in the wrong mode. It's not something so far that I have noticed on the Osmo Nano. And the other thing I really like about the Go Ultra is that you do have the 2x zoom. I know it's a crop, but on a action camera like this, you do get a very wide field of view. And as I'm filming here, sometimes it is nice to get closer to the camera and get a more natural looking shot. And I do find that the Insta360 Go Ultra in normal mode does seem to do a bit of a better job of stabilising, especially when I was running. The DJI, if you have it in horizon balancing mode, it does really well, but even in the sport mode it didn't seem to do quite as well as the Insta360 did. Whether that's something that may be updated in firmware, I'm not sure. I know Insta360 has done some firmware updates for the camera, and to be fair, the DJI has only just come out, so it's perhaps something that will be addressed in the future. In terms of accessories, they're both pretty much the same. You have the pendant mount, you have the hat clip, you have the quick release. DJI does have the advantage there that the quick release is compatible with all of its other cameras, which, if you do have multiple cameras, is hugely handy. Why Insta360 didn't do that, I'm not really sure. It seems a bit of a miss to me. If they had done that, I do have the Insta360 X5 360 camera, and it would be nice just to be able to leave some mount in place, like in the car for example, and clip either camera on depending on which I want to use at that time. That is something I can do with the DJI. Now the metering mode on the DJI, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this, is just a fixed metering mode. I can't find anywhere to change the metering, whereas the Insta360 has face detect. I know the DJI is on a slightly different angle here, but as I said in my side-by-side video, if you go back and watch that, you will see the DJI does expose darker than the Insta360. Now I've just popped them side by side so we can get an accurate comparison, and at least on the screen the DJI does look to be exposing a bit darker than the Go Ultra. Now that is something I noted in my side-by-side image quality reviews. The Insta360 has a really nice mode. It is actually tracking my face, which is nice, which is not something I can find on the Go Ultra. Whether it's a setting that I've missed somewhere, if I have missed it, drop me a comment below and let me know. But the Go Ultra will expose for my face. It has a specific face priority exposure mode. I haven't got it on here just so that we can do them side by side. But if you do use that and there are very bright highlights behind you, again you'll see that in my comparison video, it will very much expose to the face and those highlights will be completely blown out. So you do have to be careful when you use that mode. DJI has D-Log recording, which if you're into grading is the best way of getting the most out of the image quality. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this close up, but one thing the Insta360 does have is the ability to cancel the recording. So if you mess up, you start a video by mistake, if you press and hold the recording button, it will allow you to actually then cancel the recording, and it's not taking up space, it's automatically been deleted. It is quite a long press, so it's not something you could do by accident. So as you can see, I'm filming myself here on the Insta360 Go Ultra, and what I really like about the flip screen is it's facing me here. There's no messing about pulling the camera in and out, and if I want to show what I'm filming, I can just flip it around, flip the screen down, and maybe there'll be a little jiggle in the camera, probably corrected by stabilisation, but nobody's going to know that I've been moving the screen around, and I can now film directly what I'm looking at. Conversely, I can also do the same and just flip it straight back again. It's as easy as that. Whereas, let's swap over now. On the DJI, I can now see myself filming, but if I want to flip it around and show the scene, there's no way of seeing what I'm filming without disconnecting it, spinning the screen around, and then popping it back on. Now, I suspect that you're probably going to notice doing that. It's also going to make a noise into the microphone, and it's just a little bit more awkward. Not impossible, and I suppose what you could do now, the only is hold it out, have the module separate, and flip the screen like that. The only problem is whether you can see that, because I've got the microphone attached, I can't actually preview what I'm seeing, so I'd have to disconnect the microphone. And what I did find, it's probably going to work perfectly now, was when I was on my run. Of course it works perfectly, I want to show you. When I was on my run, when I reconnected the camera, it didn't always bring up the preview screen back on again. Now, the other advantage of that screen is that you can hold it down at waist level or even lower, and you can still see what you're doing. I mean, I can get it right down to the ground and I can see exactly what I'm filming. Whereas if I try and do that on the Nano, it's down to the ground, but I know unless I crawl down next to it, I can't actually see what I'm filming. Now, I can take the module off and hold it down by the ground and hold the screen in my other hand. So it's not something that can't be overcome if you do want to use it that way. It's just the Go Ultra is more practical. You don't have to separate it to be able to do that. In terms of battery life, they are both very similar. I did take them both out to do a battery life test, both in the same settings, and the DJI came out at 55 minutes, whereas the Go Ultra came out at 47 minutes. That was pod only, no screen, and both shooting in 4K 30. So the DJI is maybe 10% more. It's not enormous, it might be enough for you, and both of the pods carry a battery with about enough charge to recharge the battery in the camera module once, roughly. Charging speeds are pretty much the same. Both of them charging from zero actually beat the claims by each manufacturer. I'll show a clip of that. Plug them both into the same charge with USB-C. Let's see which one charges the quickest. It's been 14 minutes on my timer. Nano is already 89%, which actually beats what they say. No, I'm not sure. Oh, there you go. 97%, so even better. So actually, the Go Ultra, although I suppose that makes sense if it's got a smaller battery, is actually nearly fully charged already. And that is still going up rapidly. It's at 91% even as we just speak. So both of them very impressive recharge rates. So you can see there, both of them actually charge up incredibly quickly. So if you are in a pinch, you can pop them on. 20 minutes later, you'll have full charge realistically in both of them. In practical terms, the individual camera modules are different shapes, which, if you've seen my very first video where I ran with the Insta360 Go Ultra, you'll see I struggle to get it to balance on a wall. Whereas the DJI, because it has that slightly blockier size and shape, you can actually stand it up quite nicely on pretty much any surface. If I switch to filming with the DJI, you'll see that it's a lot more difficult to actually balance the Insta360. It does have a slightly flat base, but it is possible. There we go. But it is a lot more difficult. The DJI definitely has the advantage there of having the much bigger base, which will just go straight onto pretty much any surface. So both camera pods do have magnetic mounts, which does make them really practical. The Insta360 has a mount on the back. The only thing with the form factor of the Insta360 I find is that you do have to know which orientation to put it in, because sometimes if you're in a hurry, you just pop it on the wrong way around and you'll get a vertical video instead. With quite a wide base, it will even stick quite nicely to a round post. Now if we switch over to the DJI, it has a magnetic mount on the back. One thing about this form factor with the DJI is it's a lot more obvious which orientation you're in, and that does make it easier when you're just in a hurry just to pop it on and you know you're in the right orientation. Now my worry was, and this does have quite a big diameter, so it's fairly broad, but perhaps I thought the DJI, because of its wider back, would struggle to stick to something round, but it doesn't. Both of them, I would say the magnetic force is very similar. The one advantage the DJI has is that it is also magnetic on the side. So although I think that's probably only useful for vertical video, it is a handy little thing to have, that you can mount it in two different ways, because sometimes it's not always easy. And we could actually mount it facing downwards like that, which is not something you can do with the Go Ultra. Magnetic mounts on these cameras are both very similar. Insta360 is obviously a little wider, and the DJI has been set up to work with all the cameras. There is, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, a little slop which is not particularly pleasant in both of these mounts. The DJI is quite significantly more though. So if you are using them and you're running around or something, I suspect the DJI will wobble a bit more. I don't think there's any risk that either of them will fall off. They're both very secure on there. It's just another something to note. Both cameras have broadly similar feature sets. You're not going to buy one or the other and then think, oh, I wish I had that. The DJI does have 4K 120, whereas the Insta360 only does 4K 60. With the DJI, it's not a 120 frame video, it is actually a 120 slow-mo video. One thing I do really like about the Go Ultra is the face detect. It does make filming yourself in all different lighting conditions just easy and simple for the amateur. The other thing that I really like about the Go Ultra is the 2x zoom. I know it is a digital crop, but it still will record that in 4K. And as I said earlier in the video, for an action camera, you do get naturally that really wide angle of view, and sometimes it is nice to have a slightly tighter view on the subject. In terms of how both cameras handle storage, this is probably one of the bigger differences between the two. The Osmo Nano has built-in storage, and I would highly recommend you get the 128 version, because the operating system and the firmware takes up about 20 gigabytes of that. So if you get the 64, you only actually end up with 40 something gigabytes of storage space, whereas on the 128 that is a lot smaller proportion of the total amount available. In the screen module you have an SD card, and you can then transfer the footage from the camera module to that SD card. I think that is probably the better way of doing it, because it gives the best of both worlds. Whereas the Go Ultra, you do only have the SD card in the camera module. Now on either camera, it's just going to be down to personal preference. It's nice not to have to come out with an SD card if you have the Osmo Nano, but realistically, at the end of the day, battery life is going to be far more the limiting factor than how much storage space you have on either camera. So there we go, quick comparison of the practicalities of both the Insta360 Go Ultra and the DJI Osmo Nano. Let me know which one you think is better, which one you would prefer, and if I've missed anything out or I've got anything wrong, drop a comment and let me know, and I will make a correction. If there's anything you'd like me to try out with either camera, anything you'd like me to compare, again, just let me know and I'll do my best to do that. I'm trying to grow this channel, and I'm just trying to create content from the perspective of, I think, most of us, which are just keen amateurs who enjoy getting out, filming what we do, and perhaps even sharing it like I am. So if you do like the content, please do subscribe, It would do me a big favour. Thank you. Goodbye for now.